Welcome to Rock Studios. I'm John Miles. I lead market strategy for Rockwell Automation. I'm here with Sahil Datta, our mining lead for North America. Today, we're going to speak about sustainability outcomes in the mining, metals, and minerals industry. So Sahil, the EV revolution is here. All we hear about is greenfield launches, mega projects, and whenever you have to launch an EV factory, you also have to launch a battery factory, which creates a massive demand for battery minerals. What has this demand done for the mining, metals, and minerals industry? Can you comment on that?
Absolutely, John. So great times, exciting times indeed. If you look at electric vehicle market in general, let's talk about batteries first of all, and I'm going to get into some minerals portion of it. So what does a battery consist of? Nickel, cobalt, copper, lithium, and guess where that comes from? Mining. Let's talk about the body part of electric vehicle and the motors. Cobalt is for motors and aluminum is for the body. Guess where that comes out of? Mining as well. So it's very exciting things happening right now that the green revolution of electric vehicle is helping the mining industry as well at the same time.
Very good. And it sounds like with all this mining taking place, you know, and again, sustainability is on every company's mind today, right? Even here at the show. The real question is, what does this mean for mining, metals, and minerals?
Awesome. So look, sustainability is a big topic these days. Let alone mining companies, other industries as well are getting more and more into sustainability. But if I was to break sustainability into very basic terms in the mining and minerals industry, it all comes down to three things: energy efficiency, better utilization of water, and waste reduction. So that's what sustainability in the mining and minerals industry means.
Implementing sustainability has always been a challenge. It was when it started, it still is today. But there's ways you can start what I call quick wins / ways to kind of build what I call momentum in an organization, right? Has the mining, metals, and minerals industry been able to get those quick wins and really what I call get those things kicked off? Or is there something like holding them back? Can you comment on that?
Absolutely. So that's another great question, John. It could be as simple as, in the mining world, to replace a soft start, which is an electrical product that Rockwell manufactures, to a drive and get those immediate results when it comes to energy efficiency. And mining companies have been doing that for the last 15 to 20 years. Or it could be as simple as upgrading an older style pump that they put in like 20 years ago to a newer style pump to gain that water efficiency. But let me explain. There's also some very complex sustainability solutions around energy efficiency and water consumption that gives you much larger ROI that mining companies are starting to get into. So the basic sustainability solutions have always been there and mining companies have always done it. But in order to get better ROI, bigger bang for their buck, there are some good complex solutions that Rockwell manufactures that mining companies are starting to adopt.
So you mentioned ROI, and like when you tie ROI to capital projects, I mean, it makes sense. You have to be able to show a return so that it gets approved, you get the funding, you execute. But are these things done more as CapEx, Sahil? Or are they done with a combination of CapEx or OpEx? Or is there something that's making everyone sprint to the finish line now to, like you said, replace soft starts with VFDs? I mean, how do those things just get off the ground, or not get off the ground, I guess you would say?
Right. So I mentioned very basic solution as in replacing, I shouldn't say it basic, it's still a solution.
Yes, yeah.
But it's not as complex as optimizing, putting some software solutions that Rockwell manufactures. So in order to implement those not so complex solutions, I think operational budget helps. But if you have to look at something around software optimizations and all that kind of stuff that will help you with energy efficiency and better water utilization, that typically comes out of capital budget. And mining and mineral companies are starting to understand more and more of that and then projecting their capital budget according to that.
Gotcha. So I wanted to, you mentioned something a little bit ago that I wanted to circle back on because it's super important. It's EWW. I think you think of the the acronym, but energy, water, waste, right? is that how people are kind of allocating that into their plans? What are we doing with energy, water, and waste? Is that how the industry kind of looks at it and starts allocating funds and priorities?
Great question. And I'm going to throw another acronym at you, okay?
Yeah.
This is the fun part.
Okay.
LSD.
LSD, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know you're smiling,
Yeah.
but LSD in the mining industry stands for liberation, separation, and disposal. And let me throw some mining processes terms there that miners of the world will be definitely aware of. So liberation is where you take the ore from the ground and crush it, grind it, and goes through some very grinding circuits, very intensive processes. That's where mining companies use most of their money, because that's where they use a lot of energy. Let me share a very interesting fact with you. 45% of world's energy is utilized by industrial motors, and majority of that is used in the liberation process in the mining. So
45%?
that is correct. That's a pretty big number
Okay.
if you think about it. And
Yeah,
majority of
that's pretty big.
majority
Yeah.
of that is used in the mining industry. So by implementing a solution like energy metrics that Rockwell manufactures or Rockwell has, even if you're able to make 1% change in the energy usage, that's a huge impact. That's big dollars for companies, mining companies of the world. So that's liberation. Let me talk about separation. Separation is where the ore is put in some chemical processes and separation happens. And a lot of water is used. And guess what? Water is precious. Water scarcity is real. So we have some solutions around model predictive controls at Rockwell Automation. By implementing those on thickeners, for example, in part of that separation process, you could actually take a look at how much water you were using and optimize your water usage. And the last one is disposal, basically throwing out the waste. We're partnering up with some major mining companies on putting some sustainability solutions on that portion as well. So LSD is how I go about when I talk to miners of the world and tie it to sustainability.
Redefining LSD. But one thing you mentioned that I want to talk, I mean, the future sounds like it's, is there such thing as a no water future for mining? Or do you just kind of using like, electrolysis, different ways to what I call generate the energy that's required to do LSD, right? I'm thinking everyone's trying to go to net zero or what I call an ideal future. Is that possible? Are people trying to innovate around that?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a very interesting topic to discuss. I personally don't believe there's such thing as net zero.
Yeah.
Now, what you could do, let's link water back to mining. Water is always going to be used in mining. Now, how you could innovate the usage of water is really what companies should think about. Using less water or utilizing water again and again by putting it through some water wastewater management. So I'd say water will always be used, but it's totally up to the mining companies and the automation companies and innovation companies like us to help them understand how better they could use their water.
No, that's good. That's good. I want to pivot a little bit, and I think it's a great way to conclude our session today. You've been in the game for a while. You've traveled the world. You've seen, there's a bunch of your customers are here today, right? What has been most surprising in working with this industry? We worked together in life sciences years ago, and as you transitioned into this, like, where were you like, wow, I didn't know that's how this is done? Like, tell me.
That's a great question. It's very close to my heart. And I'm going to tie it back to EV, okay? So, man, in the last 2 years, looking at how much EV demand is there, typically mining projects consist of a lot of approval cycles, funding cycles. We're not talking about $200 million project. This is $1 billion+ worth of projects. I've seen projects go from no name to fully funded, including permitting, in less than 6 months, 1 year, which is holy moly, it's absolutely amazing. So that was one surprise, because people are talking about EV. Companies are talking about EV, states are talking about EV, countries, continents are talking about EV, and that's all relied on mining, getting those minerals out of the ground. So that was my surprise number one. Surprise number two is, as they're accelerating these mining processes, and the mining companies of the world want their first copper out, want to sell their lithium as fast as possible and make money. There's investors that have some KPIs. in that case, one thing that's very surprising, and I think we can really help miners of the world change that mentality a bit, is in that acceleration process of let's get the first copper out and start making money, a lot of decisions are not being made based on new technology and sustainability solutions, because that's how they're going about let's get the first copper out. So if they were to take a step back and really work with a company like Rockwell Automation, we can help them build a better architecture and a stronger backbone for a much more sustainable mining operation. So those projects moving fast, they're jeopardizing a lot of these digital innovation and sustainability solutions that we have in place, and they're literally going at a very non-sustainable mine. So I wish that that change is moving forward. So that was one of the other surprise for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, permitting in 6 months versus 5 years, like, you know, it's happening in the EV world as well, right? Permitting is challenging, and you have to go down to the state and local levels to make sure that you're going to have the workforce and et cetera. But I really enjoyed our session today, Sahil. You want to tell the people where they can find more out about the mining, metals, and minerals industries?
Absolutely. So visit us at rockwellautomation.com. There's tons of resources there, tons of material on how we could help you with mining sustainable solutions, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm very active there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So